Chapter 6, Chokecherry University. Casey sat in the back row of a packed auditorium at Chokecherry University, a sprawling campus along the shorelines of Lake Sakakawea. Only a few open seats remained, and Casey was glad the chair next to him was vacant so he could stretch his long legs sideways. Theater seating with flip-down cushioned chairs funneled toward a central stage. The lights dimmed and a projector displayed the portrait and name of the guest presenter on a mega screen at the back of the stage. Someone's cell phone rang a few rows down and the culprit scrambled to silence it. "Just a reminder," a professor spoke into a microphone on the stage, "please silence your cell phones and hold all questions to the end of the presentation." Casey thought about how he used to binge watch all the Indiana Jones movies with his brother when they were kids. On rainy days, they would watch all of them in a row. After the last credits rolled, they would jet off to the backwoods and pretend to be treasure hunters, stealing valuable antiques from the Nazis one moment, discovering precious jewels from the bowels of the mysterious city of Petra the next, all from their imaginations and expeditions into the woods. "I'm pleased to introduce," the professor said, "on his first visit to Chokecherry U, a real-life treasure hunter. Let's give a warm ladybug welcome to Billy Geronimo." The crowd let out a hearty applause as Geronimo bounded onto the stage. His cowboy boots clanged in the wood as he made his way to the podium. He wore a brown fedora hat similar to Indy's, but didn't have a whip on his belt. "Thank you, Chokecherry," Geronimo spoke with ease into the mic. "It's an absolute honor to be here on this charming campus in central North Dakota. Yes, this is my first visit to campus, but I plan to come back this winter to see your D1 Ladybugs hockey team play at the Hippodrome." He paused as the crowd cheered. "More than that, I think I'll be spending more time in the state of North Dakota, and I'll tell you why. Folks, it used to be treasure hunters like myself would travel to strange, distant lands in pursuit of hidden gems, like the time I searched for a lost secret Inca city buried deep in the Amazon jungle." The screen flashed and a picture showed Geronimo on a canoe outfitted with travel supplies. They were on a muddy river with lush green vegetation and trees crowding the riverbanks. Geronimo had a smirk on his face in the picture. He was holding up a canoe paddle that had a piranha attached to the end, the fish's teeth clamped onto the wooden oar like a vice grip. "Awesome," Casey thought. "Don't want to leave a finger dangling near the water in those rivers, I can assure you of that." A few people in the crowd snickered. "Here's the thing. Those trips were a hoot, and I found some amazing loot. But I'm here to tell you the future of treasure hunting isn't searching for lost relics in the Amazon. No. It's going to be using groundbreaking technology to find difficult natural resources and the ability to turn those resources into marketable products." A new slide on the screen showed a list of natural resources with icons above each item representing what they were. The list included the sun, forests, rocks, minerals, animals, air, oil, water, and soil. The icons for animals was 2 cows grazing in a field. "We have plenty of cows for you right here in Nodak," someone shouted from the audience. "Quiet," the professor called out. Geronimo laughed. "Ha, that you do, and I heard you have one of the largest cows in the world goes by the name Salem Sioux." Curious, Casey thought. He'd always imagined treasure hunting taking him to remote parts of the world. He never thought a treasure hunter like Geronimo would hunt for natural resources in a place like North Dakota. I guess some people would consider North Dakota a remote part of the world. "Like I said," Geronimo continued, "you'll be seeing more of me here in North Dakota. In fact, I'm looking for industrious young men and women to fill summer internships for one of my subsidiary companies here in Chokecherry. Depending on how our business goes, these internships could lead to full-time positions in the future." Too bad I have my temp work at Knife River, Casey thought. I wonder if I could do both. He still couldn't believe what had happened earlier with the buffalo calf in Hondo. He knew from his experience the calf should be able to make a full recovery, but Casey held feelings of revenge in his heart for the person who killed the mother. Casey heard an earful from Beekler when he got back to the visitor center, but a Domino's pizza delivery man rescued him with his lunch order for the office. The Wisconsin 6-cheese pizza softened her stance and put a pause on any more emails to his father for the day. The double doors creaked open behind him with a flash of light from the hallway. The door closed just as fast. Geronimo continued his presentation, and Casey saw out of the corner of his eye someone pushed down the chair seat next to him. He snaked his legs up and readjusted himself. He didn't get a good look at the latecomer, but he noticed her scent. She smelled refreshing, like heaven compared to what his nose had experienced earlier at the Kildare farm. Something fruity. Is it honeydew or no? Cucumber melon? Yes, that's it, he thought. Cucumber melon. The girl leaned toward him. She had a head full of marvelous curly hair that grazed his shoulder. What did I miss? she whispered. She had striking physical features, but it was her radiant eyes that drew him in through the darkness. A flash of a smile and a brilliant face that made him realize how 1,000 warships launched for the sweet Helen of Troy. Casey cleared his throat and whispered, Geronimo is offering internships this summer right here in North Dakota. Cool, thanks. She leaned back in the chair and crossed her legs, settling in. Now hyper aware of his own body, Casey tried to slouch down so he didn't look so rigid. He bumped feet with the girl and apologized. She didn't respond like it hadn't fazed her. Geez, Casey, play it cool, will you? There were attractive women at Temple, and he dated a few, but nothing serious. He'd seen a few good-looking women since arriving in North Dakota, but none of the women he'd ever dated had made him tense up like this. He tried not to breathe in her cucumber melon, but he couldn't resist. Damn, son. He tried to focus back on Geronimo, and that helped a little. After we finish here tonight, Geronimo said, I'll linger a bit to answer questions. Also, for those of you who are old enough to drink, I'll be hanging out at the P's and Q's bar tonight over by the Moody Moon Hotel. If you catch me there with a drink in hand, it might tempt me to tell war stories not suitable for campus. Most of the crowd laughed in response. Casey remembered Truckee was playing at the open mic at the same pub tonight. Maybe he could get lucky and share a beer with Geronimo. He tried looking at the girl again out of the corner of his eyes without moving his head, but felt awkward. Might as well put a newspaper in front of your face with 2 eye holes, you creep. I wonder if I can play it cool enough to get her name after the lecture. Maybe even her number. No, start with the name first. Don't forget, this is the first of 2 lectures. I'll be back on Thursday night for the second, Geronimo said. If you think of questions or want to bring back your applications for internships, you can do it then. We also have several full-time positions in the arena of security, so if you have any type of law enforcement or military background, we want to hear from you. Casey scrunched his forehead. Security positions? The girl next to Casey pulled out a vibrating phone, and the screen lit up the area. She was receiving a phone call. She dipped out of her seat and left through the back of the auditorium. Shoot, he thought. So much for getting a name. Geronimo ended his presentation and the crowd gave him a standing applause. Casey stood and clapped along. Missed out on meeting the girl, but maybe my luck will change at P's and Q's.